So you've already seen the title of this video, my friends. Welcome, fellow model roaders. We're going to do some decaling today. I have two Cabooses here that need decals. I have a couple of cars here that I'm going to show you. And my materials, tools, decal solutions that I use. We're going to go through all that. But I just wanted to start with a brief introduction of why do we do this? Why do I want to decal? There is so much stuff on the market these days. Why do I need to decal my own stuff? Well, I've been doing this since 1981. The reason I did it back then was because I like to model the Boston and Maine and the Maine Central back then. And there was very little available for the B&M and Maine Central. There were maybe a few cars available through Athearn had a Maine Central car, and Bev Bell came into the market in the 80s, probably 1980. And they had custom cars for the B&M and the Maine Central. But to get an engine or a caboose, very difficult back then. Now there's all kinds of them on eBay, even if they're not available on the Walthers or the catalog. However, even today, there are certain things that you can't find, like Burlington Electric Company. These are decals that are made, special run decals. They're not custom. They're on Highball Graphics website, highballgraphics.com. And he produces these decals. Here's the decal set right here to my right. And yeah, look at all the fine little letters and print and things like that. I counted them one time. There's 22 yellow, reflective yellow dash marks on there. This car took, it probably took an hour per side to do all these decals. So that's Highball Graphics. There are others on the market. Microscale, I don't have a microscale set here to show you, but Microscale has a catalog of decals available. This is another Highball Graphics decal set here. You can't find that car on the market. I keep looking on eBay. Can't find any. So we have those two options from Highball. I also have a set of my own decals here that I produced back in the 80s, 90s? No, 90s. For B&M 50-foot PS1 boxcars. Nobody made them back then. And now there's all kinds of them. Katie has made them. Who else has made them over the years? I have probably 3 different manufacturers in my display case. 3 different manufacturers of cars, plus my own custom decals, cars that I've done over the years. So there's lots of those cars available. So yeah, another reason that I sometimes do, well, here's another. This goes back to the days before manufacturers did everything we wanted. Kato came out with the GP35 back around 1985-90, somewhere in that range of time. And I wanted to do one to show how it would work and see how it runs. So at the time I owned a hobby shop. I took one off the shelf, spray painted it for Erie, Lackawanna, and put on decals by AccuCals back then. AccuCals is no longer in business, but you can find them on eBay regularly. So there's an example of one that wasn't available at the time. Another thing you can do with your own handiwork and decals is, like I did with this one. Do I have a pointer here? This was 36, so what was it, 3623 or 32, no, it wasn't 23, but it wasn't 3624. So I carefully scratched off the 2 digits and put on an AccuCal lettering there. You can kind of see that that it's not original. For some reason the 4 is a little stronger colored. Ditto, I did the marker, the number boards, scraped off the 2 and the 4, painted over it, and then put on new decals. So you can change the numbers on your trains. If you had, well, I wouldn't do that. Another thing you could do is that if you wanted to do like a Conrail paint over on this engine, you could paint over it with, I don't know what they painted them, black or were they blue? They painted over the Erie Lackawanna, and they put the CR on there. So you could get some Conrail decals and put the CR on there and change the number just by painting over it. So those are two really good reasons: custom cars that you can't get anywhere else, or modifying off-the-shelf locomotives and cars. So let's get these out of the way. And what I have for this project is that set of decals. These were made for the club by, he's up in Canada, and we had them custom produced by him. And these cabooses I painted up. They're in a YouTube video. I will put a link in the description for the YouTube video for painting these two cars. Now when we start out, before we begin decaling, well, let me talk about the tools, I guess, before I get too far along here. So I have an X-Acto knife. I like the curved tweezers like that, and I like to have a fine point on them. I don't want a big blobby point on some of them. Do have those, and these are fairly lightweight. Those are the ones I prefer. I've probably decaled many hundreds of trains with that pair of tweezers, if not thousands. I really don't know. I know that they've been around for probably 40 years or more, 30, 40 years. I don't know. I like to have that little triangular rubber thing on there. I don't know, I think that came from an office supply store, so your pencil doesn't roll off the desk. And I use those on all of my X-Acto knives. It's a little easier on your hand. And I'm rolling up my sleeves because I'm on the 3rd floor of my house and it's warm up here. I hope this is working. I have the camera on my selfie stick that has a tripod on it, so hope that's working. So those are my tools. I have obviously a handy dandy HO scale ruler. I have 2 victims. I also wanted to show you this to illustrate something else. These were painted with an airbrush with polyester paints, and there's Tester's gloss coat over the top. You need to start with at least a semi-gloss finish. The polyester acrylic paints are dead flat. Decals won't stick to dead flat surfaces. They need to have a semi-gloss or a gloss finish to stick to. The reason I brought this out is because I'm going to be doing a clinic, and I wanted to have some extra victims for decaling. We have a bunch of hopper cars we're going to be decaling. I don't have one here to show you, but we're going to be decaling up some hopper cars. Those are going to be our victims, and these are for other people to practice on. And this I just sprayed right over. I'm trying to see what's underneath there. That says Jello, and it has, I think, strawberries on it. I just spray painted it with some Rust-Oleum blue paint, and I wouldn't. The thing with this Rust-Oleum, it's still tacky. I wouldn't decal this right now. It'll be another week before we start decaling, so these will be nicely hardened by then. But notice how it gives a nice glossy finish. I just thought that I keep trying to see if it's possible to just spray over a freight car with Rust-Oleum paints, because it's so much easier for people who don't have an airbrush. And so I just thought I would try that with this car. I've got a couple others as well. So this is probably a Tyco car. You've probably seen them in toy stores and hobby stores. Great huge Jello here, and ginormous strawberry there. It didn't cover over the lettering. What I did with these cars is I stripped them down and painted over. So usually I strip down the lettering so that it doesn't show through. And that's my preferred technique. The other cars I have, this is another El Cheapo Model Power or Tyco, something like that. And one thing you have to watch out with Rust-Oleum paints is it will craze or crinkle the plastic, and you look in here, especially around where they do the injection, right in here you can see some crinkling in the plastic. And this one says something Middletown and New Hope. Is that what it's? New Jersey? New Jersey? Yeah, New Jersey. So that didn't cover very well. This was an Athearn car, and Texas and Pacific. You can just barely see the T and P. There's a diamond-shaped herald up here, and it says Texas and Pacific. I think that once this is lettered and dull-coated, after we're done decaling, we'll dull-coat them. And I think once it's lettered and dull-coated, you won't. You might be. I would know that it's there, but I don't think most people never notice it. So, let's see. Materials. I haven't talked about the chemicals we're going to use. Victims, decals, chemicals. So, another tool I have here is, these are skewers, barbecue skewers, I guess, shish kebab skewers. Or you can use, that's not, I don't know what that is. Toothpicks is another thing you can use. Those are for moving the decals around on the car. So there are two microscale products here available through your hobby shop. Most hobby shops carry microscale products. Walthers carries them. I don't know what that is. It's a set of stairs. Okay. Microset and microsol. And I'm always confused. I have to remember to keep the microset to my left and the microsol to my right. And what the microset is for is you put it on the car before you put the decal in place. And it lets you move the decal around a little bit. It's like water, but I think there's, it smells like vinegar. So I think there's a little bit of something like vinegar in this. And so you put this on the car, a couple of drops, and you'll see, and you lay the decal in the correct, where you want it. And then you sop up a little bit, and I'll have I forgot to get my paper towel here. I keep a little piece of paper towel, maybe a couple inches square, like that. And I just soak up the extra micro set. And then I put a little bit of microsol around the edges of it. Again, you'll see the process. Microsol actually causes the decal to melt into the details on the plastic, hopefully. It does pretty good. It's not perfect. There used to be a product called AccuSet, and trust me, I should have bought every case of it I could have back when it was available. I sold it away. This stuff here, this is the best setting solution for decals that I ever found, and unfortunately it's out of production. The man who made it died 10 or 15 years ago. And so the company's gone. He explained to me the difference between his product and all the others you'll see here is that I'm trying to think of all the correct names. The agent in his solution that actually causes the decal to melt is the least evaporative. So the first thing that evaporates from his product is the water that he mixes it with. On the other hand, these other products, Microscale Microsol, this is Tamiya MarkFit, and this is Walthers Solvaset. These all have water and some other reactive agent which is supposed to suck the decal down. And the reactive agent is the first thing to evaporate on your model. So what happens is you end up with the decal sitting in a bunch of water molecules, which isn't what's going to help it to melt down into the details. So the history of decal setting solutions right there. What I found is the microsol is like the least active material. Solvaset is usually more active. I never used to use it very much at all when I was doing this for a living. But anyways, this Tamiya or Tamiya Mark Fit is, I'll turn it this way. The Tamiya Mark Fit is supposedly the strongest of the 3 products, and it says Tamiya Mark Fit strong. Again, Tamiya is usually available in most modeling stores, car modelers, plane modelers. They use that stuff. So I want to cut out these 2. Pay no attention to society there. We're no longer a society, we're an association. So since I'm doing 2, I'm going to cut them out together. So I'm going to just score it. I'm not cutting all the way through the decal. Oh, I should probably tell you about how decals are done too. And I'm using a magnifying lens here. What are those things called? Well, that's what's on my head. My eyesight is not what it used to be when I was in my 30s, trust me. Yeah. I used to be able to do this without magnification at all. I used to do N-scale custom painting. Okay. And then I want to cut along the top edge. And normally if I'm doing one caboose, I'm going to... Well, maybe I should only cut out one at a time. Better safe than sorry. Let's do it that way. So, decals consist of, for those of you that don't know, if you already know, fast forward. They consist of a paper backing. You know, the back side of the decal is paper. That is coated with... Let's see, I'm going to do that. Okay. That is coated with a thin coat of an adhesive to allow the decal to actually stick slightly to the model. And that's how decal makers sell the material. So there's your paper. And the blue paper, I used to produce decals. I didn't actually have them printed. You know, I didn't actually print them. I took them to a screen printer. The blue paper used to be from a paper mill and paper company in Great Britain. I don't know anymore. That was back in the 80s that I did that. So what the world is like today, I don't know. And I got to pull up my picture again. Just want to be sure. Okay. I think that the Northwestern and Vermont are just together. I don't have to separate them. But they aren't cut all the way through. So then what happens is, and sometimes the paper is coated with a slight amount of very thin... Sorry about that, my battery decided to die on me, so I have a fresh battery, and I took that opportunity to do a little research on what car numbers we have available. There you go. Picture 3 good-looking guys on a mountain. All right. I'm thinking 85, 86. What do you think? Could do 89 as well. Oh, I forgot my magnifier. Sorry. When the battery rudely decided to die, I was separating these two, Northwestern Vermont. Oh, and I was explaining to you about decals. So then what happens is the person who's making or doing the printing of the decals buys the decal paper. Now you can buy decal paper from, I think Microscale sells it, I think Walther sells it. You can buy blank decal paper. If you have the right kind of printer, you can print decals. The difficult thing is I don't know that much about printing white decals, white lettering, on a, I don't know what kind of printer, but home printer. So what you do then is you put your paper in your printer, And it depends, again, you know, if you take it, mine were done by an actual screen printer, so they did them on great big sheets of paper. You print the ink onto the paper, and then you put a coat of clear over the top to protect the lettering. And when I started doing this, the ink and the lettering and the clear ink that they put over top of it was probably twice as thick as the stuff that we have today, and the adhesive was a lot thicker too. A lot, I don't know, whatever. So what I used to do, you see I have a dish of water here. In the old days, I used to let the decal paper float, or the decals float off of the paper. The paper would sink to the bottom, and then I would pick the decal up and lay it in place. And one of the reasons for, two reasons for that is, A, you want to separate the two, but a lot of times, back in the days, back in the 80s and 90s, there were some manufacturers that put so much of the glue adhesive, whatever it is that they put on there, you know, it would leave a blush when it was dry. And so you really needed to, okay, I'm doing the other side of the car now. So you really needed to rinse some of the adhesive off. Don't have to do that. These things are so thin now. All right, I'm going to do my best. I'm having problems with my vision, and this is not easy. So I hope you can see I slid the decal off the paper a little bit, just so I can get it onto the car. And then I'm just going to hold it in place and slide the paper out. Okay, we have one side done here on number 85. Let's see if we can do 86 on the opposite side. What can we do with that? So I'm going to cut out the Northwestern Vermont. I'm going to score the upper one. I'm not going to cut all the way through. Just score it through the clear finish. By scoring it, all I'm saying is I'm doing it very lightly. And then I'm going to cut this one through. Like that. And then I'm going to cut this one through. Like that. And now all I should have to do is cut out the ends. In theory, it should be loose. Theory. Yes. Tweezers save the day. Come on. Really. Somebody needs a sharper knife. Okay. So now I'm going to lay this in. I'm going to see what is approximately centered on there. I think if I actually just measure this distance here, what do we have between on each end here? 5, just about 5 there. And just about 6 there. So I want to come a little bit more. Maybe 5.5 feet on each end. I'm going to put that in the water just to get it wet. I get this out of the way so that I don't mess it up. And then, now that it's wet, I'm just going to lay it down. I'm just going to let it soak through. 86 is the number on this one. So let's get the digits cut out before I forget it. I could use the 9 and turn it upside down. And put the 8 right side up. I just realized I'm not using my magnifying glasses. Hold on, I'll be right back. Okay, let's try this. Hopefully this will be a little better. I'm not going to get that in the water yet. So I want to get some water on the side of the caboose. So I have a puddle to lay it in. Come on. Of course, I could use a medicine dropper. And my micro set and micro sol, get those ready. I'm going to slide just a little bit off the paper. And lay it into place, hopefully. Come on. Now I need to slide it way to the left. Okay, what did I say? About 5.5 feet each end, from each end. That's just about 5.5 feet right there. Just a little bit more than 5.5 feet from the right. So, next thing I want to do is, I think I want to push it down a little bit more. It's a little bit too high still. I gotta have room to put the herald down here. All right, let me double check the fore and aft play here. About 5.5, 5 3/4, maybe 5/8. Perfect. Okay, we have it correctly oriented left and right, fore and aft. Now I want to make sure that it's not tipping. It looks to me like Vermont is going downhill. Yeah. Sighting down the car, I don't see it. Now it looks like it's going uphill. Good. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. Paper towel. Just want to absorb this extra water. And then I could put the microsol in place. Okay, I'm going to double check. Good. Microsol. Again, this is the solvent. This softens the decal film and ink and lets it melt into the details on the car. Capillary action should carry it through underneath the decal. If I tip it like this, it should carry it right down from one end to the other, theoretically. You can do it the other way too. Yep, there's still a puddle right there on the T. And you can do it the other directions too. Go this way. Let the capillary action force it down through. All right, 86. Let's put the NWV in water and then do 86. Add that my previous video clips were done on my camera. I have a little cheap point and shoot pocket camera that I was using, and I was having trouble with it in this tripod selfie stick. So I have put my iPhone, this time I'm making the video with the iPhone. Really. So hopefully it's working better. I didn't like how the camera was working with this selfie stick. 86. Absorb the water. Sounds like it's windy outside. I don't know if you heard that, but the wind is making noises. I'm going to put a drop of microsol on there. And then try and get that 86 to line up. It's pretty close. All right, I'm going to call it a win. The Herald's got to go here. Like that. Don't hit the Northwestern Vermont at the same time. Like that. Hey. Okay. We're done. Goodbye. No. Let's... Again, if I, using capillary action, if I put this paper towel down the bottom, tip it a little bit, capillary action should pull that microsol right down through the decal. Like that. Kind of the same, almost. I'll call that a win. All right. This one's only been done on one side, so I've got to do the second side of number 85. But you don't have to see that. You got the general idea of how to do it. Hopefully you can hear me over the fan going. I have here a bottle of Tester's Dull Coat, and we're going to put a coat of clear finish over the decals on the Cabooses. I'm going to stir. I've put in a fair amount of lacquer thinner. This stuff came out really, really thick. I don't like to put it on that thick. So I put, I wouldn't say 50-50, but it's probably 30 to 40% lacquer thinner. I'm going to stir it up, so I'm going to turn on the air compressor. I'm just bubbling it up into the cup. Let's see how it looks. There we go. Oh, too high. Let me move the camera angle up. Come on. There we go. How's that? A little better? I think that'll be enough. As I've said before, the idea here is to put a coat over the decal, protect it from scratching. It also helps to cover up the edges and puts a uniform finish. Decals usually have a glossier finish to them than the cars, I think. So they tend to, what do you call it, reflect the light more. So dull coat makes a uniform finish over the whole car, helps to cover up the edges of the decal. And at the end there, I was just trying to use up what was left in the cup, and I was looking for any imperfections in the finish that I could use to that last little bit to cover up. So I'm going to bring it in here. Hopefully you can see. There's not many imperfections. The edges of the decals are pretty well hidden. In my mind, that looks pretty darn good. I think, again, I think these decals, these were made, they came from a guy in Canada. I will put it in the description down below. They were custom decals, extremely thin decals. It's good for hiding things. It makes it a little harder to work with, in my opinion. But they mold over to the edges of details on the cars a lot better. So at this point, folks, we're done with the clinic. I'm going to put the cars together, and they're going to run on our model railroad club. But they're done for now as far as I'm concerned. I hope you liked this video. And if you learned something from it, please give it a thumbs up down below. If you have any questions or suggestions, you can leave them down there too. I do read them all. I try to respond to them all. Sometimes I forget. But that's life. I hope you have fun with your model railroading, and I hope to see you soon on this channel. Bye for now.